Update from the city here at 7:30. A helicopter based in Linden crashes on top of a skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. The pilot tonight identified as Tim McCormick. He's described as a highly regarded and respected pilot who worked at the airport in Linden for years. Authorities say he veered into airspace off limits for security reasons. He crashed on top of the AXA Equita building on 7th Avenue. The crash sparked a brief fire. McCormick did not survive. Authorities saying tonight the crash not on purpose. An investigation by the NTSB is underway. The weather not ideal at all for flying today. News 12 New Jersey's Justin Godnick takes a look at how pilots rely on equipment to fly in bad weather.
Well, we'll take a look here at the aircraft six-pack, as it's called. A helicopter would have these. These are essential instruments if you are flying in a cloudy condition known as IFR, where you can't see out in front of you. Controlled by the vacuum, we have the attitude indicator, and we also have the heading indicator as well. These two controlled by the vacuum system. The electrical system controls the airspeed indicator, the turn coordinator, vertical speed indicator, as well as the altimeter. If you happen to lose one of the two systems, vacuum or electric, you still have about half your instruments that you can use to fly. However, if you lose both systems, you're in a lot of trouble, particularly if you're in an IFR environment. But let's say the electrical system did fail on this helicopter. The pilot would not be aware of his airspeed, and with not enough airspeed, a helicopter could stall, particularly if you pull back and your angle of attack exceeds that critical angle. The helicopter rather could stall. Not being aware of whether or not you're turning or inverted, very important to be aware of your attitude. And the vacuum does provide for that. But if you were to lose your vacuum indicator here, you wouldn't know if the horizon were straight or not. And finally, altitude. To fly over the large buildings in New York City, you need to know what your altitude is. Without the electrical system, the altitude indicator would not indicate what height you should be at. The TFR for Trump Tower is 3,000 feet. That helicopter would need to fly above that height. Now, Justin Godnick, News 12, New Jersey.
And lots of information coming from Justin. I mean, these conditions did not help today.
Awful.
In the recovery and everything going on with first responders even.
You know, when the pilot took off at 1, it was just like before 1:30, the conditions at Linden were a little bit better than they were across the river in lower Manhattan. We actually saw the cloud deck lowering by almost 150 feet. So, you know, I think weather is certainly a big player with the crash. We've got some issues out there right now with the weather conditions, with rain showers that will continue. We've got areas of patchy fog that will continue to thicken and lower and then lift and then lower. And this is the weather pattern that we're going to be in for the next 12 hours. Notice White Plains right now, zero visibility up into Westchester County. Similar conditions out towards the western end of Sussex County, all of the 5 boroughs and Nassau County right now. The eastern end of New Jersey just locked in with pea soup right now. So please slow it down. The roads are wet. We have some occasional showers. Visibility is awful. We have a temperature of around 69 degrees in Newark with an east-southeasterly wind that is light. So light wind and all of that moisture allowing those low clouds to continue to thicken and lower. So we have the patchy dense fog right up until about 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then once the fog burns off, the clouds are going to be ushered well east of the area by a frontal boundary that will allow more sunshine to work into the forecast by tomorrow. So we have temperatures right now in the upper 60s. There's an opportunity we could see those temperatures hit rock bottom at around 64, which is still above average for this time of year. There are pockets of showers that will more than likely take you through the first part of the overnight hours. Cold front swings through. The rain showers last until about 9, then the sun is back by lunchtime. By the end of the day, afternoon high temperatures topping out in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees, and we're running with a sunnier forecast going into Wednesday as well. Things changing again for Thursday, and it may actually take us into the first part of the upcoming weekend. I'll give you your complete details with that 7-day coming up.
All right, Dave, thank you. 7:33 right now, and a teenager from Brick drowned over the weekend.
News 12 New Jersey's Chris Keating has more from Toronto Drive.
The drowning took place in this lagoon, which sits off Barnegat Bay. It happened on Saturday. Police say the boy was pulled from the water and rushed off to the hospital. However, he died of his injuries on Sunday. The homeowner tells us the family was hosting a Sweet 16 party at the time for his daughter. The victim was a guest. At around 6 o'clock in the evening, police say the kids were playing in the water. The victim went under, and after about 5 minutes, the group realized that he was missing. At that point, adults at the home jumped in and pulled the boy from the bottom of this lagoon. He was placed in a boat where neighbors were told attempted to revive him through CPR before EMS took him away to Jersey Shore Medical Center in Neptune. So far, police have not released his name. However, we do know the teen attended nearby Brick Township High School. District officials say they are providing counseling for any students in need. In Brick Township, Chris Keating, News 12, New Jersey.
A Newark man is facing charges tonight after allegedly leading police on a chase through Ship Bottom. Police say Savio Garcia was driving a stolen car when he ran from police during an attempted traffic stop. During the pursuit, Garcia hit another car before then taking off on foot. He was arrested a short time later. Well, a man shot, another man stabbed Saturday night when a fight erupted on Murray Street in Keansburg. Police broke up a large crowd before finding the two wounded men. The man shot was treated at a nearby hospital and later released. The stabbing victim is stable right now in the hospital. Anyone with information is asked to call Keansburg Police.
An update on New Jersey comedian Artie Lange tonight. He's set to be released from jail in Essex County after 3 weeks. He's headed to a new drug treatment program. Lange lives in Hoboken. He was jailed after violating parole, and he has dealt with drug addiction for years. Teachers in Franklin Lakes are on strike. Tonight, News 12 New Jersey has learned a mediator is sitting down with both sides to help resolve the matter. But today, school was canceled after teachers told the board they wouldn't be showing up. Many say they've been working without a contract for 2 years now. They also claim health benefits are getting too expensive, making it difficult for them to make ends meet.
Teachers across the state, they pay an extraordinarily high amount of contributions. Some as high as 35%, which well exceeds what the private sector pays. And we're looking to have the board negotiate with us to bring it down to a more reasonable level.
The Board of Education says it's seeking emergency court action ordering the teachers back to work.
And here at 7:36, some breaking news tonight. Former New York Jets tight end Kellen Winslow Jr. convicted of raping a homeless woman in California. That decision just down from a jury in San Diego. They convicted him on 3 of the 12 charges that Winslow faced. They're still deliberating the other 8 charges. He's accused of raping 3 women and exposing himself to 2 others. All 5 women testified in the trial. Winslow is facing life in prison now. Former Boston Red Sox slugger David Ortiz is back in Boston. He was shot in a club in his native Dominican Republic this weekend. It was caught on camera. You can see Ortiz sitting in a chair at the top of the screen. Behind him, we see someone walk up to him, but the camera only captures the shooter's legs. Once he was shot, Ortiz slumped over in his chair and then fell to the ground. The Red Sox sent a team plane to the DR to bring Ortiz back to Boston for treatment.
Our medical team here in Boston and the doctors in the Dominican Republic have confirmed that David's condition is still serious, but that he is stable enough to be transported back here to Boston for continued care. In coordination with our medical team, the club has arranged for a medical air ambulance to transport David to Boston from Santo Domingo. Our hope is that David will arrive here in Boston sometime later tonight.
Well, wishes are coming in from all over. Former President Obama tweeting, 6 years ago, David Ortiz's spirit and resolve helped us all begin to heal from the Boston Marathon bombing. Today, I want to join many others in wishing him a speedy recovery of his own. Get well soon, Poppy.
The FBI is investigating after another American tourist dies at a hotel in the Dominican Republic. Robert Bell Wallace of California is now the 6th person. His niece says Wallace took a drink from the hotel minibar at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Resort in Punta Cana. David Harrison of Maryland also died at that same hotel last year. An engaged couple from Maryland died within 5 days of each other at the Bahia Principe La Romana. A woman from Pennsylvania died after she took a drink from a minibar there.
Well, the site of one of the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history could soon be listed as a national memorial. Lawmakers in Florida want that distinction for the Pulse nightclub. 3 years ago, 49 people died at the hands of a gunman there. If the bill passes, the site would receive public and private grants and would be protected by the federal government. The anniversary of the Pulse shooting is coming up on Wednesday. Still ahead, a touching tribute in Middletown.
How the town is honoring a former police lieutenant who dedicated his life to the community.
Begin your day with the news that matters to you.
Welcome to Mornings with News 12.
We are excited to start our mornings with you.
New Jersey news from the team you know and trust.
Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast.
From the people who know New Jersey and have a commitment to covering the stories that impact your life. So join us every morning beginning at 5 a.m. for the local news that matters most to you. Right here on News 12 New Jersey.
We continue to follow the breaking news. This large fire that is burning out of control this evening in Elmwood Park, the landmark Marcal paper plant factory, which is one of the signature businesses in Elmwood Park and has been for decades. That thing is going to be a total loss tonight. The fire started about 5 o'clock in one of the buildings. They quickly got employees out and fire crews began arriving, but the wind spread this fire very quickly this evening. You've seen that Marcal sign. You see there, as you drive past 80, this is a landmark building in this area of the state. As you go to the bridge in the mornings and your commute and coming home at night, it's right there. But crews from up to a dozen neighboring communities have descended on this 8-alarm fire, and the fire crews have now gone defensive. It is too dangerous to put firemen at risk, so they are establishing a perimeter, keeping an eye on the embers where they are landing. There are reports tonight of homes on fire because embers have landed on those homes, and there's a report that Borough Hall is on fire as well, and an ember landed there. So fire crews keeping an eye on the houses and the structures which surround this large property. This property bordered by Market Street, River Road, and the Passaic River to the west.
Now, Troy Greer, we're looking at his video. This was a resident who we spoke to on the phone, and he just sent us this video in. You can see how intense these flames are just coming from the Marcal warehouse. Troy was telling us how he's seeing this fire. He's been watching it since 5 o'clock. He hasn't been given an evacuation order. In fact, he hasn't been given any order. He has just been sitting in his house and praying that these flames don't land on his house. We did get a report, as Kurt said, on Chamberlain Avenue. Embers were landing on that house, softball-size embers landing on Borough Hall, all across I-80 on Market Street, which has set Borough Hall on fire. We're also, as you can see, the way the smoke is blowing down, it's because the winds are very intense. They're very strong. Not only is it fanning flames, but it is making this just a difficult firefight. Also, we have over 100 firefighters on the ground there tackling this thing. 2 engines so far, their lines have been frozen up because of the bitterly cold temperatures. They're doing everything. These brave firefighters, they are absolutely brave. They're in these dangerous conditions. On top of the fact they have this massive fire that they have to tackle, in addition to the fact there are propane tanks inside. There have been explosions. The winds are just keeping this thing going. You can hear people taking videos, and you know, everybody's in shock. You can see it all over social media. Some people are saying, you know, they've had family members working in this factory for, you know, like over the past few decades.
Yeah. This plant has been there for that long.
Yeah.
This is a real tragedy tonight because the town of Elmwood Park and North Jersey is losing one of their signature businesses this evening, and the fire crews have made the decision it's too dangerous to put firemen at risk. So this thing is essentially going to burn to the ground tonight. The Google Earth image, you see the entire scope and size of this structure, this facility, and this is the spectacle on Interstate 80. If you're driving west, there's big traffic jams on Interstate 80 both ways in the Patterson-Elmwood Park area tonight, and this is why people are slowing down. They want to see this. They're taking photos of this, pictures of this, and that's how close you are to the fire.
And I'm wondering, how much hotter is that when they're standing that close to this? It would be interesting to see, like, what would be a temperature difference there. But we want to, are we tossing it over to meteorologist?
Let me just bring this up. The real concern here, right, there's propane there's chemicals in this fire. And that smoke plume, which you can see on radar tonight, that is floating to the east. So all these residents to the east of this fire, to the southeast of this fire, you've got to be concerned. You're smelling this, and you're wondering exactly what's going up in the air tonight. This is a manufacturing plant. There are chemicals on site, dangerous chemicals. There's propane there for sure. So that's going through residents' minds as well tonight.
And also, what's going through my mind is, how about the power? When's that getting shut down? So, because we did get a report that the power lines some were catching fire. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that part of this is
on Market Street. So this needs to be shut down.
Right. That's part of this tonight as well. They're trying to shut down the power, and they're trying to shut down the gas lines in the neighborhood because they're concerned about this spreading. If they're going to let it burn to the ground in that large section of real estate, well, you've got homes right across River Road and on the other side of 80 as well, and if the embers are landing there, you've got hundreds of homes.
That's what I was just before I came over to the desk. I was trying to build a little bit of a map to give you an idea of what streets are potentially going to be impacted by this. Because you were just saying, you know, you've got the chemicals in the air, so you've got that stench. You've got the embers, you know, lifting up. I think there was what, 2 homes potentially?
Yes,
potentially 2 homes and Borough Hall.
And Borough Hall.
Which way? How strong are the winds, and which way are they blowing?
Gusting to about 35 miles an hour. They're moving from the west to the east. So basically coming right down Interstate 80, and it couldn't be in a worse spot because you've got, you know, you've got the Passaic River, then you've got the plant, and then you have all of those residential homes.
Right.
So that fire and the smoke going right towards those residential areas. So I mean, this is just an awful setup for firefighters. Let's go over to the weather wall. I'll show you what's going on out there right now. I was just showing you that frontal boundary going through. Now, as we zoom down, we've been dealing with, for the most part, mainly clear skies across the area, and temperatures have been fairly cool. Now, as we look out towards the north and to the west, this is the smoke plume that has been showing up on radar. It's basically extending all the way over to Fire Island, but the worst of the conditions right here, coming right over towards Interstate 80. This is the Marcal plant. We've got a west-northwesterly wind at 18, gusting to 35. This is coming in this direction right here. So Tooele Avenue from Hillman Drive over towards Birchwood Drive, coming in towards, what is that, Palsa Avenue. I mean, all of these homes right here are basically threatened with those fire embers, with the stench of chemicals in the air. You couldn't ask for a worse setup for a residential area. Your fire here, if the winds were blowing off the ocean in easterly direction, at least those winds would have been fanning towards the Passaic River. It's not. It's actually going to continue to work over towards those residential areas. So, I mean, it's just an awful situation for Elmwood Park right now. And those winds continuing to be very persistent out of a 15 to 20 mile an hour range in northern New Jersey, 25 to 30 in southern sections of the state. So we're watching those temperatures tonight. Not only are the firefighters dealing with the wind, they're dealing with this ridiculous cold. We're talking about wind chills, actual air temperatures going from 0 to maybe 5 above to 5 below as we head into the overnight. Wind chills feel like 10 to 20 below. Decent amount of sunshine for tomorrow, still breezy, and your afternoon highs are stuck in the middle teens. That's it. We're talking about some really cold weather. The last time that we have seen temperatures this cold, possibly going back to 1948. So we're going to continue with that cold right through Thursday night, even going into Friday morning. We'll have temperatures in the single digits. We're really not seeing things beginning to modify until we get into the upcoming weekend and hopefully start to see a little bit of a warm up into early next week. We're going to have more details coming up a little bit later in the show. Stay with us.
Melting glaciers reveal land that has not been seen in tens of thousands of years. That's according to a new study. Scientists looked at dozens of plants from the edges of melting ice caps on Canada's Baffin Islands. Using carbon dating, they discovered most of the plants had been under the ice for at least 40,000 years. Not only that, but also the same species of plants continue to grow on Baffin Island. Meanwhile, scientists turning to IVF to help save African penguin species. At the start of the 20th century, there were 1 million. By 2010, they were on the endangered species list. The research in South Africa is believed to be the first time someone has tried to artificially inseminate an African penguin.
Pretty amazing story right here. An Army veteran reunited with his dog tags thanks to the determination of another veteran's son. Jeremy Tom saw a military bag at an estate sale this month. He remembered his dad's bag from when he was young, so he bought it for nostalgia reasons. But inside, he was surprised when he found military ID and 2 dog tags that belonged to a veteran named Dennis Luby. So Tom went on social media looking for Dennis.
I could hear my dad, tell me, you need to get this back to him.
And I started getting contact from people, and it still affects me now, just thinking about it. Because back in 1980, you did not discuss it. these things were put away and I totally forgot about them.
Luby says he didn't even know that bag existed still, but the estate sale was at his mom's old house. The two now plan to meet when Luby is going to be reunited with those tags. And continuing coverage tonight out of Elmwood Park. This is the top story this evening on New Jersey Tonight. An 8-alarm fire that fire crews are going to let burn itself out. The Marcal paper plant in Elmwood Park, the iconic business that has been there for decades, it is going to be gone in hours. The main building has already collapsed. Fire crews are too concerned for their safety to go on the offensive tonight, so they've established a defensive perimeter. This fire is burning out of control. We're seeing videos from drivers passing by on Interstate 80 and in the neighborhoods as well, Chamberlain Avenue, the streets which surround this property. There's concern tonight those houses are in danger because of flying embers. You're watching News 12 New Jersey, continuing coverage of the fire at the top of the hour.